My mother smoked cigarettes since she was probably a teenager, so the 1970s. From about high school on, for me, me being in high school, so early 2000s, she developed a cough, and I literally watched it slowly worsen over time. And they tried doing tests in like 2019, somewhere around there, and nothing showed up. Meanwhile, my mother's cough was getting considerably worse and more consistent. Much more consistent and much harder. Like, it got to the point where she had to stop eating popcorn because she would go into a coughing fit and then, like, inhale a kernel and then, so it became a whole problem. That was starting to get to the point for watermelon too, because watermelon is so watery and juicy. She would start coughing and then inhale, and the point is, I'd been surrounded by this and hated it. And then my mom was experiencing excruciating pain where, like, just lifting up her left arm was debilitating. Like, she couldn't. And the pain got so bad that she finally went to see a doctor. And just as we got it diagnosed as cancer of the lungs that had moved on to other aspects, she ended up in the hospital by the holidays of 2023, and by January of 2024, she passed. And on the death certificate, it says lung cancer, stage 4. I'm bringing this up now because there's a story that I saw on the Philip DeFranco show. And to say that it made my blood boil feels like an understatement.
Episode. MAHA aligned influencers and conservatives. Instead of, raw milk, they have this new dangerous product that they're hawking, though it's not really new, and that is nicotine. But you're seeing numerous health influencers and other prominent right-wing voices heavily pushing it to millions and millions of their collective followers. You're seeing them claim that nicotine actually has a ton of different health benefits, and it's just really been unfairly stigmatized by the mainstream medical establishment. So it's actually pretty similar to other controversial products that the MAHA movement's promoted, like peptides, beef tallow, and of course raw milk. But then with that, you have many saying, like with other health concepts that have been pushed by MAHA, unfairly stigmatized by the mainstream medical establishment, it sometimes just translates to scientifically proven to be dangerous. Right? As far as nicotine, experts widely agree that it raises your blood pressure, adrenaline, and heart rate, creating a number of cardiovascular issues over time. Things that include an increased risk for heart disease and heart attack. And according to the CDC, nicotine can also harm brain development, which continues until you're around 25. While public health officials, they regard nicotine patches or pouches like Zins as a safer alternative for people who are trying to quit smoking cigarettes. One, you're comparing apples to cancer death sticks, so, it doesn't mean that nicotine is safe. And two, it is still highly addictive. So it still carries big risks for former tobacco users, but the main concern is that it's going to hook people, especially young people who have never used nicotine before. According to the American Lung Association, only about 35% of Americans who use nicotine patches have previously smoked cigarettes, and of those, only 1 in 10 were able to stop smoking and switch to pouches. In fact, research has actually shown that when people who weren't previously addicted to tobacco started using tobacco-free nicotine products, it actually increases their likelihood of addiction to tobacco products, which is then why you have many experts arguing that nicotine products, which are mainly produced by the tobacco industry, it's just another tactic for big tobacco to hook a whole new generation of users. And that's just super significant because when you look at most of the MAHA allies hawking nicotine products, they aren't just trying to promote it as a safer alternative to smoking, they're actively pushing it as some kind of wonder drug. And easily one of the best examples of this, and one of the single biggest voices in this space, has been Tucker Carlson. Right? He has repeatedly touted what he said are the benefits of nicotine, saying at one point that he's been using it for 40 years now since he quit smoking in college. Tucker then also claims that the benefits go way beyond transitioning from cigarettes. He's also repeatedly promoted various nicotine products as miraculous cure-alls.
This is the largest Zyn tin in the world. The volume of nicotine in here could save the world. There's enough nicotine in this container to alter the course of history. Zyn is not a sin. Zyn is a life-saving medical product that enhances male vitality and mental acuity. Zyn is like the hand of God reaching down and massaging your central nervous system.
Right, and then there was also that viral clip from an interview we did with Theo Vaughn a few years ago.
Yeah, but the truth is Zyn is a powerful work enhancer and also a male enhancer, if you know what I mean.
Really?
Yeah.
Talking erection, huh?
Yep. There's no election fraud with Zyn.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want a Zyn supported wiener. You know, I don't know.
I think you do.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you want people to get addicted.
So one,
Exactly.
weird. Two, right now there's zero scientific evidence to back up his claims about nicotine enhancing male vitality or whatever. If anything, the opposite actually appears to be true, right? Studies show that nicotine can cause numerous reproductive issues for men, including erectile dysfunction, reduced fertility, and decreased libido. Though I will say maybe Tucker is speaking at least in part from personal experience.
Just close your eyes.
Oh, damn.
It's like that.
That's the neighbor saying, "Hey, it's real quiet over there."
Just whack it on the nightstand.
But then also beyond that, you had Philip Morris, which manufactures Zyns, actually sending Carlson a cease and desist letter after that podcast telling him to stop saying shit about their products because even if he was joking, quote, these statements lack a scientific foundation. Adding, given Mr. Carlson's popularity and reach, these statements could promote a misunderstanding and misuse of our products. Then you had Carlson slamming the company for that rebuke, and in fact, he cited it as part of his reason that he launched his own brand of nicotine pouches called Out, which he then touted as an alternative to so-called woke products like Zyn, because apparently Zyn is woke now. But Tucker's also not the only person who gets direct financial benefit from pushing nicotine products. Right, Dave Asprey, for example, a biohacking influencer with millions of followers, he's also been one of the biggest proponents. A belief that, I'm sure has nothing to do with the fact that he's reportedly invested in the nicotine pouch company Lucy and done consulting work for Philip Morris. Right, and Asprey's repeatedly echoed Tucker's claims that nicotine can increase cognitive function, reverse Alzheimer's, and help people live longer. And that's also been then echoed by Jillian Michaels, a MAHA Alliance celebrity fitness influencer who's repeatedly talked about her use of nicotine and made wild claims about its health benefits on her podcast and beyond. Or they're claiming in one interview that she uses low doses of nicotine to protect against Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, as well as to sharpen focus and help treat her ADHD, saying at one point that nicotine is not toxic and claiming that it's actually beneficial. But again, all the science that we have right now, it shows that nicotine is in fact toxic, and there's no real evidence to back up these sweeping claims. Right, experts say that, like literally any other stimulant, nicotine can make you slightly more alert, but it doesn't improve cognitive function or make you more intelligent. In fact, as we noted before, it can actually harm brain development in those 25 and under, and it can even harm concentration in the long run because users build up a tolerance and then can struggle to concentrate without it. And then as for the various kind of miracle cure claims, like that nicotine can prevent diseases like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, experts say that the research there is very preliminary and far from definitive. But then many also arguing that it's incredibly alarming for supposed health influencers to be pushing these products to their fans. But then you also have some in the MAHA camp hitting back, claiming, as they have with many other products, that the medical establishment is intentionally hiding information about natural cures while pushing prescription medications that just make people sicker. Right, last year, for example, leading MAHA influencer Alex Clark did a podcast titled Nicotine is Not the Villain, What Big Pharma Hides from Parents. And in it, she interviewed an alternative medicine practitioner who claimed that the pharmaceutical industry has buried information on nicotine's benefits and argued that it could treat COVID, cancer, and more. With also Clark herself telling viewers that everything they've been told about nicotine has been a lie. To close this one out, I am interested. I am curious also what you make of this, especially if you're someone who uses or has used nicotine products. Or because nicotine, this is definitely like an outsider looking in situation. I had smoker parents, kept me miles away from this stuff, and also I'm just scared of anything that's addictive. Like I feel like I'm addicted to chocolate, so I feel like I have no shot on nicotine, and so I've never tried it.
My grandfather lost his ability to speak and had to have surgery. I forget what the procedure is called, where they created a hole in his throat and he had to use a voice box in order to speak because of the amount of smoking that he did. I don't have anything nice to say about these people. I'm angry. I'm fucking angry.